Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers postgame presented by Bet365. Woo! My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me on this Thanksgiving Eve after a win over the champs, it is Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, and we are, of course, in the Xfinity mobile studio. Charlie, woo! How about that one? 3 straight regulation decisions. This one, a decisive victory, I'm going to call it, over the defending champs. That was an absolutely ridiculous game, and the trend continues, my friend. 16 times out of the first 22, the Flyers have allowed the first goal, including 9 straight. They're now 9-5-2 when they give up the first goal. I'm telling you, pull the goalie on the first shift. Give yourself as much time as possible to come back.
Bill, this is such a weird hockey team because I think it was I don't think he's still a contributor at Broad Street Hockey, but he certainly was at one point. Brad Keffer, big fan of the work he did in analytics for Broad Street Hockey for years. He made the point on Twitter, and I completely agree with him. It's that this team, they forget how to play hockey for extended periods of time, for periods at a time. And then somehow at the end, more often than not this season, they come out with the win. It's just so weird watching this team play because the first period, aside from Dan Vladar, they were horrendous. There have been some games where they've given up the first goal and then they come back and they play well, whatever. Okay, well, it wasn't even that bad of a first period. They just got the first goal. It happens. It's hockey. This is a game where they gave up the first goal and they could have given up the first 4. And then the second period, things are better. And then the third period, they played what to me looked like playoff-style hockey against the team that's won the Stanley Cup 2 years in a row. Now, granted, not at 100%. They've got guys out of the lineup, sure. But Florida is built for those games. They're built for a period like the third period. Both teams played that style, and the Flyers won the period and won the game. It's bizarre to think that the team that played the third period of this game also played the first period of this game, and it was the same night.
They will never not be ridiculous, Charlie. And if anyone out there is looking to celebrate, perhaps, now this is just for the diehards right now, but we got a couple of days. Maybe you want to celebrate with a little Black Friday savings. Well, right now, if you are a PHLY diehard, you can get in on the sale immediately. Go to store.allcitynetwork.com to get your discount on all sorts of great PHLY Flyers merch, including our brand new awesome shirt we released just a couple of weeks ago. The pre-orders are in. They're so freaking cool. We have the hats like the one I'm wearing right now. This is one of my favorite pieces of merch. The Clarky tee, the video game, and of course all the Mad Russian stuff. All of our PHLY Flyers merch is on sale right now. Save up to 90%. Early access at the moment for diehards, but the sale will be for everyone, starting, of course, on Black Friday. Go check it out. All right, Chuck, I want to get right to, I think the story of the game is tonight's game changer, driven by Elkins Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Could have been Tyson Foerster, could have been Dan Vladar. We're going to go Emil Andrae, however, for tonight's game changer, driven by Elkins Chevrolet. It seemed, and you even tweeted it in the first period, Emil Andrae struggled a little. They remixed the D pairs, went back to Sealer Drysdale, Andre Juleson. It didn't stick, and good thing, because in the second period, Emil Andrae almost single-handedly gets them back in the game, a goal and an assist. He gets an assist on the Michkov goal. Huge second period to tie the thing. And, man, I know he makes mistakes. I know he's young. He might not have the highest ceiling. But the kid is, as we said, he's tonight's game changer. He is the type of player who can change a game for you, and he did tonight.
Yeah, and it's funny because, look, he scores a goal in the second period. He directly contributes to another goal in the second period. For a minute, it looked like he got that goal, and then we realized that Matvei Michkov tipped it in the slot. But it's not like the second period was perfect either. He's the guy on the side of the ice when Verhaeghe scores his goal. I'm not sure if he was entirely at fault on that play, but he at least deserves some blame. And then he takes a maybe a little weak but still an unnecessary penalty. Don't put yourself in that position. So he wasn't even perfect in the second period. It was just the epitome of an up and down game, but he finds ways to have a positive impact. And this is a game where, I still think with all the mistakes that he made in the first period was ugly. He has that turnover. And again, the broadcast brought up like, well, it could have been a slash. Like, yeah, maybe, but you got to be harder on that puck. I'm sorry. You got to be harder on that puck. You can't flub it that easily. That's a big mistake. He makes these big mistakes. And then in the end, I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, in aggregate, I think he was a net positive in this game. And given the size of the mistakes he made, that just how many good things he did.
Yeah, the turnover that basically, because for the first, I realized they're down 1-0. They give up 15 shots in the first period. But like the first 4 or 5 minutes, it was all them. It was like, oh, nice jump to this game. Nice. It looks like Tockett's message or whoever's message got through after they just had no energy in that Tampa game. And then there's a turnover, and then it's all Florida for like the next 15 minutes, basically. Yeah. They were lucky to get out down only 1-0.
Yeah.
But it really started with that turnover. And at intermission, he was even like, yeah, it might not have been my best period in the first, but after he has a couple of points, and this is what we were talking about the other. I must have been a post game because we've only got post games this week. This is what we're talking about with Emil Andrae right now. Defensemen, especially like him, are going to get out-muscled in front sometimes. They are going to turn it over because they are guys who have the puck on their stick a lot. The positives and the offensive production just have to outweigh any perceived negatives, whether it's, yeah, man, he's just kind of small, so that's going to leave him vulnerable in the defensive zone, or, is he a high-end offensive puck mover? Is he going to produce enough to make up for it? This is a night where you see that potential. And, like, listen, it's not like it was a blazing ghost bomb on either one that resulted in the goals, but he had that shooting mentality and he had the confidence, and you see the traffic. He was smart enough to put the puck into some freaking traffic, and you get a couple of goals on a really good goaltender.
Yeah, you mentioned confidence, and I think that's the big thing I like the most about his game tonight is that, and we talked about it a couple of days ago, Emil Andrae did not have a good game on Monday. He was directly involved in 2 of the 3 goals, and the third goal was an empty netter. 2 of the 3 goals by Tampa. He gets out-muscled by Brandon Hagel. He starfishes on the other goal to give them a wide-open passing lane right across the slot and crease area. It's a bad game. So I was going into this game watching Emil Andrae closely because it's like, how is he going to respond after having probably his roughest game of the season at the NHL level? And when he starts out as poorly as he did, it's like, this ain't going to go well. He's letting it snowball. I love the confidence to continue to try to make things happen. Because some guys, there are some guys who just don't have that mentality. When things are going bad, it's like, okay, I'm going to play it safe the rest of the game. I'm just going to, dump the puck in. I'm going to pass it to my partner every time I have the puck up at the point. I'm going to defer because I need to limit the damage. I clearly don't have it. I'm in my head, and I'm just not going to make any more mistakes. I'm going to play conservative. Emil Andrae did not play conservative. He had 4 straight bad periods, I would say. And then in the 5th period, he's like, I'm just going to go out there and be Emil Andrae. And I feel like that is, that's a trait that you want every professional athlete, you want every NHL player to have. They don't all have it. Some guys do let 1 bad period snowball into 3, or let one bad game snowball into 5. Say what you will about Emil Andrae in terms of his limitations, and he does have them. He's never going to be taller than 5'9". He's just not. It's never going to happen at this point.
Nope.
He's never going to be a super big. He will play physical, but he's never going to be a physically imposing guy. But what he does have is he's got moxie and he's got guts. And I think tonight he showed that, because it would have been very easy for him to just crawl into a hole and make it clear to Todd Reardon, who runs the D pairs, that like, hey, maybe give me 11 minutes tonight. Nah, he kept pushing, and he showed that he's not going to let – he's like a goalie with a short memory. He's just going to let that roll off his back and go out there and keep playing. And I love that.
Yeah, I really appreciated that as well. And I mentioned how you tweeted in the first period about the remixing of the D pairs to kind of go back to what they were a few games ago. It really just seems like Tocchet kind of pulled the plug on Andrae in the first period, because I'm looking at all their ice time, and Andrae basically only played with Drysdale. But when you look at Drysdale, he plays in all situations, like 16 and a half minutes with Andrae, but he gets like over 4 minutes with Sealer. And that is, I think, kind of indicative of, yeah, we were going 5 defensemen there for a while in the first period. And to have the confidence, one, Rick Tocchet to kind of get Andrae back out there, and two, for Andrae to go, yep, put it behind me. I think that's really, really impressive.
Yeah, I agree. And look, Rick Tocchet has taken a fair amount of heat in online circles, largely centered upon his usage of Matvei Michkov, and we're going to
get to it.
But I give him credit for this because it looked like in the moment that he was going to be marginalizing Andrae because he was having a bad period and, in his defense, having a bad game the game before. Like, that would have been, to me, like, I would have gotten it. I would have gotten why he's like, we're against Florida, and Andrae had a bad game 2 nights ago. He's off to a bad start tonight. Yeah, he's getting pushed to third pair duties, and he's getting 10, 11 minutes this game. That's our best chance to win. I give Tocchet credit, and I'd like to think this is one of those times where I wish I was there because I'd love to talk to Andrae after this game. I'd love to talk to Tocchet and be like, was there a conversation?
What was the message?
Was there a consideration between periods to pull the plug on this kid? And what drove you to be like, no, he's going back out? Like, did he talk to Andrae and Andrae said all the right things? And he's like, all right, well, kid wants to make up for it. I'm going to give him another shot, because it seemed like Tocchet was ready to pull back on Andrae. He did at the end of the first period. And then the second period, it was like, he's right back out there with Drysdale. And again, to Tocchet's credit, he was rewarded for it. But I'd love to understand why, because it seemed like we were going down one road, and then the second period starts, and it's like, oh, they're not doing that. And obviously it plays out perfectly for the Flyers as a result.
Yeah, and I do think we have to credit Tocchet with that a little bit, because listen, we've seen it go. Oh, bad couple of shifts. Sitting next to me for 40 minutes, kid. Good, and it doesn't seem like that's Tocchet's way. I don't know if that's anyone's way, but one guy who happened to coach here for a few years. But I was happy to see that, and I'm happy to see how Andrae responded, because I do think, especially against a team like this, and like you said, there's no Tkachuk, there's no Barkov. They are not quite the same team, but they still have the same mentality. They still play the same way. And when you think about the knock on Emil Andrae, okay, well, if they're going to be physical on the forecheck, maybe this isn't exactly the matchup for him. But for Tocchet to recognize, what we're going to have to do? Move the puck out of our end quickly. And say, that's a little forethinking, maybe a little more than we give Tocchet credit for. I am going to complain about other stuff with Tocchet, but I wanted to lead off with this because it's good, and they won 4-2. I don't want to start out complaining. But that is Emil Andrae, tonight's game changer, driven by Elkins Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. And I think right now is a great time to take our first break. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Listen, we didn't come through on our Trevor Zegras bet tonight. We had him over half a point. Who knew this team could score 4 goals, all with the goalie in the net, all against the defending champs, without their most dynamic forward contributing? But that's just the way it goes. We live to bet another day. And I think you should always put your action at Bet365. And why? Well, because of our breaking news from Bet365. Right now, you can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. All you got to do, sign up, use code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And speaking of Elkins Chevrolet, who's dishing championship-level Black Friday deals every single day. It is Elkins Chevrolet, located on Route 73 South in Marlton, New Jersey, and it's run by 3 brothers, Jason, Adam, and Josh. They're in the store every single day, working to make sure they have a huge lineup of Chevys at the best price, all while providing honking good service. There's no missed shots, no drama, just real brothers running a local business and backing every Black Friday deal like it's the championship game. So if you're in the market for a new Chevy, make your next move to Elkins Chevrolet. Real brothers, real deals, and a whole lot of honking good service. Shop now at elkinschevrolet.com. Together, let's drive. All right, Chuck. From here, I do want to talk about Dan Vladar. He raises his save percentage another point tonight. He is up to .913 on the season, .926 in the game, stopping 25 of 27. The workload is the typical Flyers ridiculousness. They come into the game allowing 25.5 shots a game, and they showed like a graphic where it's like they play the lowest shot total games for and against, like in the league and everything, but they give up 15 in the first. Over the next 40 minutes, they allow 12. Before we get to actual Vladar, how? How do they do this, Charlie? Like, I know you don't know the answer. If you did, you'd be coaching the team. But I bet you Rick Tocchet doesn't know the answer either. When you give up 15 in 20 minutes, and really it was like 16 minutes, and then you go on to give up 12 to a team that was dominating you in the first, is the answer just they'll never not be ridiculous? Like, is it that?
Well, I mean, they're always going to be ridiculous because they are the Philadelphia Flyers. Look, if you want to spin this in a positive way, and I gather that there are a lot of people who don't want to spin this in a positive way, but if you want to spin this in a positive way, it's that this is the result of growing pains with regards to learning Tocchet's system. And it's that, in the end, like at some point, hopefully, they will get to be the team from the second and third periods defensively all the time. And it's just that sometimes because it hasn't yet become muscle memory, they're not yet playing exactly the way he wants them to play, that sometimes you have periods like the first period where they're just all over the place, and then they go in an intermission, he points some things out on the whiteboard, they regroup, they adjust, and then boom, they're playing better. That's probably the optimistic way to look at it, because then it's like, well, they could trend upwards, and at some point they could be that team from the final 40 minutes almost every game, and then things are good. The reality might just be that, and you pointed this out on multiple occasions, they're a young team. They're a young team, growing pains, inconsistency. It's all part of the process. I don't love using that word, but it is. That's part of how this works. And it might just be that simple, that they're not experienced enough to be able to do this consistently. And that's why you have these wild swings even in game.
Hey, it looks like we have like almost 450 people live with us right now on Thanksgiving Eve. Hit that like button. Hit the like button for Dan Vladar, damn it, because I want to talk about him now. Because, yes, they only do surrender 12 shots through the final 40. But that first period, he is under siege. Even the shots that don't reach him are scoring chances. He stops 14 out of 15. He was, again, tremendous in the first period, I thought. Just the guy steady for them who keeps them in a game that they eventually go on to win. That when you look at the first, 25 minutes of the game, because they give up that goal early in the second, like they had no business winning this game if not for Dan Vladar. But then they come out, they get a couple of goals, it's a game, and they look pretty freaking good after that. But it starts with Vladar in the first being what this team more than they could ever really ask of him, quite honestly, considering what we thought of him at the time of the signing.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying he's going to be first star of this game. He was great, start to finish, unlike the rest of the team. And the rest of the team had moments, to be sure, that they were good for stretches. Vladar was the only player on the team that was good for 60 minutes. He was very good for 60 minutes, and he's been good pretty much every single game he's played this year. We talk a little bit about the idea of this team, as in the 2025-2026 Flyers, being reminiscent of the 2023-2024 Flyers, the team that got all the way to game 82, and ends up missing the playoffs, but they're right there until the end. And then last year's team obviously was a mess on a lot of levels. They ended up having to let go Tortorella. But the thing about that 2023-2024 team, at least through the end of January, is it had good goaltending. Yeah. Last year's team never had good goaltending, really. There was never a point of the season, aside from maybe like a couple week-long stretches where it looked like Ersson might be figuring it out. They never had good goaltending. This year's team is getting the goaltending, at least from Vladar, that they got from Carter Hart and Sam Ersson from October through the end of January 2023-2024. And maybe, look, there's other factors at play, but maybe it is just that simple. Maybe this is the true talent level of this team, except give them good goaltending, and they would have been like this last year too, except the goaltending was terrible.
And do you think, I guess, because we talked about this a little in pregame with Gargano, like just having a guy you're confident in, and I know when you brought this up to Travis Konechny a couple weeks ago, it was like, well, we have two goalies we believe in. Sure. Let's say that's the truth. I know they respect him. I know they think he's better than his numbers, but at this point, the results are the results. You have one goalie that you can have the utmost confidence in, even if it's just in the back of your head and you think you're confident in the other guy. When you see him have a first period like that, like we talk about this team and their ability to get it going after that, do you think it's that simple? Like the confidence, and also maybe they think they owe him? Like, hey man, he's killing it for us. Maybe let's get ourselves back in this game because he just kept us in it for the first.
Yeah, I think that's probably more what it is. I don't think it's that they like. I don't think it's that they play differently. Like from the opening whistle, it's
Yeah,
like, well, Vladar's in the game. We can play aggressive. Oh, it's Anderson. We got to play super scared and without energy. I don't think it's that. I really don't. But I absolutely could see it being what you said there. In that, like, okay, we got to pick up our goalie. He's doing so good. Also, there's an element, I'm sure, a mental element in that intermission, in first intermission, of feeling like, man, we dodged a bullet. Like we know we played like trash.
Yeah, it should be 3-0.
And we are still in this game, and you feel like now you're kind of playing with house money. It's like, man, like they gave us their best punch. They dominated us. They played their like a perfect Florida Panthers style period, aside from maybe the first 3-4 minutes, and we're only down 1-0. Man, if we play a little bit okay, we might be able to win this game. And the thing with Harrison is that because Harrison's giving up more goals, they're not having the chance to have that feeling, because when they play badly in the first period and Harrison's playing, they're down 2-0, 3-0 instead of just 1-0 or tied 0-0.
I know neither of us are goalie experts, and far be it from me to nitpick the performance. But what did you think of Vladar coming out to challenge Bennett on the doorstep on the second goal? Morgani at intermission was not sold that the Bennett pass was even actually a pass. He just kind of got lucky trying to slam it by him. I didn't have a problem with it. What did you think?
Yeah, that was interesting that Al and Scotty Harden were both saying they felt like it was a stuff that basically turned into a pass accidentally. I don't know. I can't put myself in the head of Sam Bennett, but I don't have a problem with what he did, and I'll tell you why. And it has nothing to do with me being a goalie expert. I certainly am not. What it does have to do with is what I know about Rick Tocchet's system. And what Rick Tocchet made clear to us defensively early in training camp was that, look, the point of my system is that we tell our goalies we're going to take away the backdoor pass. You just worry about making that save, about covering half the ice, and we'll make sure there's no backdoor passes. So to me, that's Vladar doing what Tocchet's telling him to do, saying just assume that backdoor isn't going to be there because we're going to cover it. They didn't cover it. But I don't think that's Vladar's fault. I think that is him playing exactly the way he's supposed to play that, which is operating on the assumption that his defense is going to be able to cover that pass.
And had they taken it away, it's not a goal. Like
exactly.
It's that simple. He's out there. He made the challenge. It's a stuff attempt potentially. And guess what? It skitters across and they're there to break it out. Hopefully, like it's that easy. Just looking at the upcoming schedule. Oh, well, this is a no contest. I was going to ask you, who do you think should start next? But it's the Isles on Friday. So it has to be Ayerson. That's Ayerson's game. Yeah, anytime. If he, at some point, is the team's third goalie in the AHL, you still bring him up to play the Isles a couple times a year. That is, to me, the obvious move. And then it's the Devils, the much better team, at least, personnel-wise.
Yeah.
On
the Isles aren't playing well recently. They are.
They
are.
So
it's not an easy game.
I absolutely. It's just very clear to me the way this should go. So we don't even need to cover that, Charlie. All right, we have wasted enough time. Let's get to the complaints, baby, because there's plenty of them. Matvei Michkov. So in the first period, he is, I guess, riding Sam Bennett as Bennett carries the puck into the zone. He makes that pass across the ice for the goal, and after that, Michkov plays 3 more shifts in the period. Plays 2:46 at even strength. Played under 4 minutes total in the first. Only Nikita Grabenkin played less minutes in the first period at 3:22. He ends, Matvei Michkov does, with 12-13 worth of time on ice. He does score the goal, does score the game-tying goal, the tip on the Emil Andrae shot. What do you think, bud?
Well, I mean, let's get out of the way. He should be getting more minutes. He should. He should not be finishing games with 12, 13. That's way too little,
Yeah.
especially when he's scoring a goal. I will say I have a theory here, okay, for this particular game. I have a theory as to what, and again, I'm not there. I don't know. But the reason why this theory popped into my head is because I was watching the shift where they score that goal. And my first thought was, okay, so they're out there. The Couturier, Michkov, Brinkline are out there. Andrae has that bad turnover. They get trapped in their own zone. Okay. Then they transition back up ice. Michkov, instead of going off the ice on their way back up, he stays on the ice. Now, that was a long defensive zone shift. It is very justifiable. In fact, I would suspect a coach would want him to change. Let those guys be the guys who are the ones who carry the puck up ice. Change, get a fresh guy out there to provide support. He goes up ice with them. Then the Panthers come back up, back down ice. He's gassed. I don't blame him for the defensive work on the play, but he's gassed because he's at the end of a 50-plus second shift. Okay, that happens. The rest of the game, Michkov's shifts are extremely short. And I wonder if the message from Tocchet on the bench was stop extending your shifts. The rest of your shifts in this game are going to be really short. Because if you look at the shift count, okay,
that's what I was going to say next. Yep.
This is the thing. Michkov's shift numbers are not outlandish. He got 18 shifts in the game. Zegras got 19. Tippett got 19. Konecny got 22. Dvorak got 22. He's right in line with his teammates in terms of shift number. What's different about them is that Michkov was averaging 40 seconds a shift. Zegras is averaging 55 seconds a shift. Konecny and Tippett are averaging 49. I just wonder if this one was him basically telling Michkov, you got to cut your shift short because of what you did on that goal. I wonder. It's just a theory, but like he was sending him out there a decent amount. It's just he was leaving. He was going on the bench quicker than everybody else was. That was weird to me, and it was so different from like Zegras getting 55 seconds that I almost wonder if there's something going on.
That's what I was going to bring up. He needs, first, like you said, he needs to get more than 12 minutes of ice time.
He does.
That's
100%
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But also, 18 shifts, 12 minutes and 13 seconds. Tippett, 19 shifts, 15:42. What's that? 3.5 more minutes.
Yeah.
He played one more shift. Trevor Zegras, 19 shifts. That's one more shift. 17:43. That's what, 5.5 more minutes of ice time?
Yeah.
The ice time is ridiculous. This is not to absolve the situation. Maybe this is an outlier. Maybe the message was have quick shifts, get on, get off. They're a physical team. They're a forechecking team. They're going to try to wear you down. Maybe, but man, they won, and so I'm not going to overly complain. Like, how do you complain about beating the Florida Panthers and beating them 2 out of 3 times this season? Like, that's pretty impressive. But damn, man, Matvei Michkov has to be one of the centerpieces of this thing, if not the centerpiece. He scores a goal. I thought maybe that would get him going. I saw him mixing it up in front of the net. I was really happy to see that because after Vladar got hit, the very next time there was a stoppage down there, Michkov's got his stick working. He's face washing dudes. He's throwing a couple over the pile.
Oh, he was
happy
engaged.
to see that.
Very
especially after the contact to Vladar. We didn't even talk about that because I was like, of course, yep, here we go. This is Jeff Hackett. He's got like 5 shutouts, and now he has vertigo. Like, that was all I could think.
Shocking that it was Brad Marchand. Shocking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I wonder if it was a mistake, Charlie. You think maybe he did it by accident? Okay.
Yeah, definitely an accident. Brad Marchand totally has the benefit of the doubt.
That effing guy, man. Anyway, he was fine. But the Michkov ice time thing, it's just getting tiresome, quite honestly.
I'm sick of talking about it. I think that's where I'm at, is like, I just want Tocchet to, like, I really don't think this is going to stunt Michkov's development. I don't think they're going to trade him, which is seemingly like the new topic du jour on Flyers Twitter. Like, I don't think any of that's going to happen. I just want more than anything them to give Michkov more ice time so I can stop talking about it. So I can stop hearing about it. Like, make my life less annoying, Rick Tocchet, and give him more minutes, please.
I wanted before we take the next break, I wanted to get your thoughts on this tweet that I saw tonight. Um, it's very funny. It's from Insider J Money. Clearly, Tocchet doesn't want to play him. Maybe he's pushing for a huge trade with Michkov as a piece. Trade thing aside,
I don't think that's what's going on, J Money.
I'd be surprised. I don't know. They do a lot of wacky stuff. Who the hell knows? But I would be very surprised. Trade thing aside, do you think Tocchet doesn't want to play him?
Well, that's a loaded question. Because if I say yes, that if he hates Michkov, do I think that it is that they are intentionally limiting Michkov's minutes right now? Yeah, probably, because what else is an explanation? Like, you don't accidentally give the super talented, still 20-year-old, guy who led the team in goals last year 12 minutes a night. Like, that's not an accident. Clearly, there's some intentionality there. Now, I don't think that it's intentional to the point of like, well, he's limiting his minutes because he friggin' hates the kid. Like, I don't think it's that. But I can't imagine that, like, it's, oh, well, I don't know. We meant to give him more minutes and we gave him 12 by accident. Like, no, there's clearly some sort of intentionality there.
That's fair.
And when they want to give him more minutes, they will give him more minutes. Clearly, they are not motivated that much at the moment to give him more minutes. But I also don't think, like, this is all part of Tocchet's evil plan to get Michkov traded.
That's the thing. And listen, maybe like I think everyone's smarter than they are because look at what the Ducks did with Zegras. To me, especially if I'm trying to turn him into like Quinn Hughes, one of the 2 or 3 best defensemen in hockey, I would not expose what I thought of him to be very little. Like if it was me trying to get Quinn Hughes for Matvei Michkov, I would be like, this kid's a star. I can't live without him. Honestly, I'm having him over for Thanksgiving. Neither of us are American, but I'm cooking him a turkey. That's how I would handle the situation. And I think it's ridiculous to think otherwise, but who the hell knows? I don't think it's, I think, yes, clearly they're not doing this by mistake, but I don't think it's like nefarious. There's some backroom dealings going on where he doesn't want Matvei Michkov, so he's going to do this to ruin the dude's career or whatever. I could be wrong, but it would surprise me. All right, coming up on the other side, we still got to hit 3 stars. We still got to hit all your super chats, all sorts of stuff to get to. But first, got to tell you about Xfinity. We are, of course, in the Xfinity mobile studio, and if you've noticed, connection's pretty freaking good, right? Well, it's the same thing when you're trying to watch sports with Xfinity, because Xfinity is the ultimate sports destination. There's never any lagging, there's never any buffering, and there's no switching between 20 different apps to try to find all the best games and all your favorite teams, because they're all in one place with Xfinity, and you get awesome features like the enhanced 4K sound and pictures, so clear you feel like you're in the arena, so you can hear everything going absolutely wild when Typho scores with the game on the line. And you get things like live stats and notifications right on your TV, so you can keep up with all your fantasy teams as well. Not to mention the multi-view. Watch up to 4 games at once on Xfinity's multi-view. It's just absolutely awesome. So next game day, make sure you're a big fan and not a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. Now it's time to tell you about Crooked Tea. You know I love me some Crooked Tea, and everyone has their favorite hard tea. But have you ever turned the can around on your favorite hard tea to see what's inside? Well, most of the time you can't because they don't tell you, and while others hide what's inside, Crooked Tea brags about it because they brew real USDA organic tea for real flavor with 0 sugar. There's no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So next time you're at the store, flip the can, and if you can't find the ingredients, put it back on the shelf and grab yourself a Crooked Tea. 0 sugar, real tea, fully transparent. Philly recognizes real, so why drink the fake stuff? Crooked Tea, the only thing better? It's a strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find a store near you. All right, Charlie, it is time for us. Let's hit the unsung hero presented by Togo. Let's actually get the real stuff going here before we go nuts about Coots. The unsung hero presented by Togo. Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of the real work. You hold the reins, we pull the sled. Togo. The unsung heroes tonight were going to be Sanheim and York for their work, especially on that final shift, but they both finished the game +2. They both play over 23 minutes. Absolutely outstanding. And if you want to meet either Sanheim or York, well, you have a chance to win tickets to the Flyers Carnival. That's right. The Flyers Charities Carnival's coming around. You're going to want to check that out. I'll give you details in a little bit. But they're not going to be the unsung heroes tonight, Charlie. Because it's going to be Nipple Guy. It's going to be Nipple Guy. This dude is the unsung hero. Sir, if anyone knows him, if he's a fan of the show, whatever, you're welcome on the show anytime. He decided to flash the camera tonight when the Flyers pulled this game out. And honestly, I appreciate the passion. Drinking a nice Yingling there as well. So you know he's true.
The Yangling in the picture is great. So this is right after the Flyers score what is ultimately the game-winning goal. There's always a lot of Flyers fans that go to games in Florida, particularly Panthers games, although they're pretty well attended in Tampa too. But Panthers games, there's a ton. I think there's just a lot of Philadelphia expats down in South Florida in particular. They flip to this guy, and I got to give so much props to this dude because you only get so many chances to do something like that.
Make an impression.
Only so many chances where you're like, oh man, I'm on television. And most people, they flop. You know, they just cheer. You know, they put a big smile on their face. Maybe they cover their face because they don't rise to the moment. That guy rose to the moment. He saw his opportunity and he knew exactly what he was going to do. He's like, nope, I am going to be remembered. And he's got the Yingling in his hand. Like, to me, this is now. If this isn't on my timeline after every Flyers win the rest of the season, then social media has failed miserably because that is iconic. That is an iconic celebration just made for social media. Perfect stuff. Well done, Nipple Guy.
Really, really great stuff. And that makes him the unsung hero presented by Togo. You hold the reins, we pull the sled. And that's it, man. It's everybody. Everybody's got to pull their weight. This fan absolutely did tonight. That's why he's the unsung hero. Getting back to the carnival thing for a minute. So guess what, everybody? We have a giveaway. We are giving away tickets to the Flyers Carnival. What we're doing, we have 10 tickets to give away, general admission. Awesome. You get in, get to be a part of it, figure out what you want to do, handle it from there. But you're into the carnival. The carnival is one of our favorite events of the year. We get to participate. We'll be doing a live show. I'll be in the dunk tank again. It's going to be a great time. You're in. We also have 2 grand prizes. We have sign-in snaps. You get photo and autograph opportunities. One with Travis Sanheim, one with Cam York. How do you enter? Very easy. Go to the AllPHLY website. I gave you a very long web address last time. It's like allphly.com/flyers-charities-carnival-giveaway. You can do all that, or there it is. How do I do this? Right there. Yeah, there it is. Right there. Scan that QR code, and it'll take you right to the contest page. All we need is your name and email. Winners will be picked at random. We have 10 tickets to give away, general admission, and 1 sign-in snap for Sanheim, 1 sign-in snap for York. Super easy. Go to allphly.com. All right, Charlie. Because they end up winning the game and honestly scoring right after. So it's like, haha, what a ridiculous moment. We need to talk about that shorthanded breakaway, though.
Yeah, we should. That was wild stuff.
This is one of the moments where I really wish I could swear, and I did on Twitter, because I was like, the F is that? So, penalty kill, Dvorak, loose puck, chases it down, gets a shorthanded breakaway, and as we've seen him do a couple of times already, once in the preseason, once in the regular season, decides to drop it. Couturier was nowhere in the picture when he decided to leave that drop pass. I don't know if he'd broken the blue line yet, but Dvorak made that decision, and then Coots, probably shocked, decided, yeah, I'm not going to take my 1-on-0 either. I am going to try to feed Dvorak on the back door. Dvorak was no longer in the back door. He's in the corner. So we essentially get 2 1-on-0 situations, neither of which result in a shot on goal or even a strong attempt. Charlie, I had to ask. I actually went out of my way. I texted our pal Petey, Steve Peters. He was in the Arizona. He was in the Coyotes organization for a while. He coached under Tockett. He coached Dvorak for a little while. I just asked. Is the breakaway drop pass part of his repertoire there, or is it something new? He said, nope, that's news to me, something brand new. So I'm deciding to blame Montreal because it's always the French's fault.
Oh, yeah.
But what? I don't know if I've ever seen, speaking of this team being ridiculous, we've seen a lot of dumb stuff. This might be it. This might be the all-time most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Well, I think what elevates it to a special level of brainlessness is that it was two guys. Like, it would be one thing if it was just one of them, but they both pass up on a golden opportunity. And I wonder, I don't want to give Couturier a pass here because his, if anything, is even more egregious than Dvorak's, because at least like Dvorak's is insane because he's on a breakaway, and why would you not shoot on a breakaway? That's insane. But I will say that the drop pass works exactly the way he intended it to. Like, Couturier is wide open to just like hammer a slap shot, like tease up a slap shot to blast past Bob and get a goal. So like it's a ridiculous decision by Dvorak, but it worked. Then Couturier, for whatever reason, is like, oh, you think you can be insane? Watch this. And I do think that maybe it was because he was so shocked that he had the opportunity, and he's like, well, I don't know what to do. It was like literally like Ricky Bobby after it is a post-race interview where I don't know what to do with my hands. So he just tries to pass the puck back to Dvorak. But like Couturier has to shoot that puck. Dvorak, like, to me, it's with Dvorak, it's just like, why would you pass up a breakaway? Like, it's less that it was a terrible decision in the sense of like, yeah, he creates another chance for a teammate, but like have a little bit of selfishness, like just a little bit of selfishness and take the shot. I don't know. Don't you want to score goals?
I just feel like, and listen, yes, the Couturier thing, and like maybe he just expected Dvorak to like be at the back door and then he wasn't. Okay, I don't know. But the drop pass on the breakaway, you made it work in the preseason. So, all right, we're going to try that at some point. We're going to try it. A third time now? Like, this is too many. This is too many times to be doing this. I'm baffled by the entire thing. If they had lost this game 2-1, Charlie, this entire show would be about this, and the entire comment section would be about buying out Couturier. Don't care if there's no savings. As I've pointed out, they only save like $700K or something, whatever league minimum is, because his whole contract is signing bonuses. That's what this show would have been about if they lose this game 2-1. Well, I can't believe what I saw.
It was crazy. And he does score the game icing goal.
Thank God.
I saw people on social media, and we were rushing to get the show going, so I didn't have a chance to rewatch the goal. Like, I was like running upstairs in my office to make sure that everything was going to be good once it became clear that the Flyers were going to win this game. And shockingly, it wasn't going in overtime. But I heard some people on social media believe that he didn't even intend to shoot that he intended to tip the puck into the corner, and he like messed up. Now, I have to rewatch the play to see if that was true. In any case, he breaks his goalless streak. He gets on the board. Hopefully that'll make him feel better, because it wasn't just the weird drop pass penalty, shorthanded situation. Couturier was passing up shots all game. Like, every time he got into the zone, you're like, dude, just put it on net. Like, shoot for a rebound. You got guys going to the net. And he's like, nope, I'm passing. Like, Sean, I know you're not, a Rocket Richard contender. You weren't a guy who was scoring, 50 goals in his prime, but like, you scored 30 a couple times, I think. Like, you can score. Put the puck on net. Just give it a chance.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. Honestly, Charlie, we watch 82 games every year. We break them down. This team does a lot of funny and stupid stuff. I don't know what I can, off the top of my head, compare to that. And as Brenna so intelligently points out, just to put a bow on that carnival thing I was telling you about, the link is also in the bio of this show. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can find the link to enter to win the Flyers Charities Carnival tickets there. All right. On the other side, we're going to hit 3 stars. I bet you we have a never-ending amount of super chats, just a guess. So let's take our final break. All right. Do you really want, like, I don't know, Matvei Michkov playing goal? No, that's insane. You want him scoring, because It's ridiculous to think he could do both. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the money. You got to keep your stars focused on what they do best. And the same goes for your business. You don't want your top people buried in operations, the tedious, time consuming, redundant activities that wear the team down. And that's where Togo comes in. Togo can help any business looking to reduce operations costs, be more efficient, or unlock more time for their best people. From customer service and accounting to order management, logistics, admin, data entry, and even complex multi-step operational processes, Togo takes it off your plate at a fraction of the cost. And every engagement with Togo starts with free process mapping and engineering. There's no cost, no commitment. They don't bill a dime until the real work begins. And with programs starting as low as $1,000 a month, you're not going to break the bank. Each Togo program includes dedicated staff, custom automations, and US-based process engineers who act as your quarterback, giving you complete control, total transparency, and instant efficiency. At Togo, turning your playbook into performance. You call the plays, we execute. Visit harnesstogo.com. Scale smarter, work faster, and stay focused on winning. And now it's time to tell you about Anaheim, baby. We're going out to Anaheim March 17th to the 22nd. Go to allphly.com/events to book the trip now. It's going to be PHLY and Philly Sports Trips teaming up for the California Takeover. So many options to choose from. We're staying at the Sanborn Santa Monica. It's absolutely beautiful. We're going to go to the Ducks game. We're going to go to the Kings game. And then we're going to have a watch party for the Sharks game. And it's not just us. No. John LeClaire coming as well. Spots are limited. Book your trip now at allphly.com/events. All right, Charlie, let's get to tonight's 3 stars of the game. That's right. It's time for O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Let's kick it off. Who is star number 3?
Yeah. So before we get going, I do want to say I cannot fit him in the 3 stars, but Nipple Guy is getting an honorary star. Let's call him the 4th star of the game for that iconic maneuver. So he does get on the list, not quite as one of the 3 stars. But 3rd star.
I wondered if you were going to do it, so I was hesitant to make him another segment, but I figured I'd just steal it and you'd have to figure it out. So who is tonight's 3rd star?
I was going to say, I was probably going to, and then you stole it, so I had to readjust. 3rd star of the game, we didn't really talk about him, which is funny, given the fact that he did score the game-winning goal. Tyson Foerster. He did score the game-winning goal in this game. I thought this game that they mentioned on the broadcast, and is what I saw as well, seemed like he was fighting the puck the whole game, but I love the fact that he just keeps going out there and pushing and trying to make plays, trying to take shots, and obviously gets rewarded at the end. Even on the game-winning goal, he takes one shot, it gets blocked. I think it was Ekblad who's like dying on the ice after. He's like, all right, well, I took one of their guys out. Might as well try it again. And then that one beats Bob, wins the Flyers the game. Tyson Foerster on the strength of that single play, because it was the biggest play of the game. I believe Flyers just tweeted out it's like the 2nd latest game-winning goal to break a tie for the Flyers in regulation that like they've ever had. And the latest was like the one that Garden Hathaway had against these Florida Panthers a few years ago. So apparently they like to win games late against the Panthers in regulation. Sure. So when you score a goal like that, you get on the star sheet, even if the rest of the game wasn't that special. Tyson Foerster, 3rd star.
4 goals in his last 4 games does Tyson Foerster have. 8 goals in 18 games on the season. And, yeah, man, just keep firing. I love that. That is the type of bounce that I feel like always goes against the Flyers. And just, yeah, hurt a guy with your shot. Guess what? That means you got a good shot. Take another one. All right. Who is star number 2?
Yeah, star number 2 is Emil Andrae. We talked about him earlier. Was not perfect. Made a lot of mistakes. Directly was a contributor to one of the goals against. But he has the confidence to keep going. Similar with Foerster. He has the confidence to just play through it. Keep making plays, keep trying things, and ultimately he scores the goal that gets the Flyers back in this game. Then he sets up the Michkov goal that ties it, and he finishes with 18 minutes. So he justifies being in the rotation in a tie game against the defending champs for the entirety of the 3rd period. I give Andrae a lot of credit. He could have easily, as I said, just kind of crawled into a hole and been like, I'm ready to get 11 minutes tonight, coach. Didn't have a great game in Tampa, didn't have a great first period, comes out in the 2nd and 3rd, plays great hockey, becomes truly a difference maker for the Flyers in this game. He gets 2nd star in part because of the plays he made, but also just because of the general attitude that he had in this game. You'll love to see it, Emil Andrae, 2nd star.
And drum roll, please. Who is tonight's first star?
Oh yeah, this is Dan Vladar going away. Vladar was the only Philadelphia Flyer in this game who was great start to finish, and that's been a trend because pretty much every game he's been great start to finish. 25 saves on 27 shots. He faced per natural stat trick, faced 3.19 worth of expected goals. So he was the difference. He stops one extra goal in this game, combining all of the likelihood of all the shots that he faced. Yeah, Dan Vladar, fantastic. The composure, made a ton of big saves, a ton of memorable saves, dealt with a ton of traffic in front. I mean, they were getting traffic in his face, especially in the first period. He was battling through it. Just a fantastic game by Dan Vladar. And as good of a performance as Emil Andrae provided in the second period. Tyson Foerster's big goal, Michkov's big goal. Vladar was the standout of the game for the Philadelphia Flyers. And then there's Nipple Guy, star number 4.
All right, Dan Vladar comes through again, and look how quick Britta is with that. Just absolutely outstanding. All right, we apparently have 14 super chats. I expect that number to break 20 once we get started. So without further ado, let's hit those super chats. First one is Gritzy Ross. Good to hear from you. Says, yeah, baby, that's how Vladdy Daddy does it. Dan Vladar. That's what I'm sticking with. I am sticking with Vladar. It will either catch on or I will die trying. But thank you for the super chat. All right, next one here is Gritzy again in a playoff spot at U.S. Thanksgiving, my friends. Absolutely. Or as we call it here, Thanksgiving. No, listen, this is the East is weird this year. It's not like, oh, well, yeah, and every other team's 5 points out. Like, there's no one out of it in the East. Like, Buffalo's in it, But it is always a line of demarcation. Are you going to be in it? Well, are you in it on Thanksgiving? Well, chances are you're going to be in the mix. And here they are. So, looks like we have an interesting season ahead of us, Charlie.
And again, this is what the Flyers want. This is all they wanted. They didn't go into the season promising playoffs. They went into the season promising we are going to be better and we're going to be competitive. And regardless of whether they make the playoffs or not, if the Thanksgiving thing is a sign that they're going to stay competitive all year and be on the playoff bubble and be in the mix through the beginning of April, then by the Flyers' own stated terms, this year is a success.
All right. Next one up here is from, it's from R Park. Andre plays Flyers win, and he had a big hand in it tonight. Gets back on the winning track. They win without Nick Delorier, which has been tough to do. Maybe that'll mean Nikita Grabenkin will get to stay in the lineup. But Andre, impressive, even more so than the points, impressive mentality tonight to be able to rebound and make some plays to get this team back into the game.
100% agree. Emil Andrae, definitely one of the standouts, even in spite of the mistakes that he even admitted he made.
All right, next one here is from Timbo Slice. Why not us? Stanley Cup champs who? Hashtag Vladar Vezina, hashtag Michkov Mania, hashtag Andre the Giant.
I actually want, we're certainly not there yet, and there have been other goalies who have performed objectively better than Vladar, but I do wonder if Vladar could play himself into at least the Vezina conversation.
It's crazy to me. Like every national podcast I listen to, 32 Thoughts, Marek, Puck Soup, when they talk about the teams like off to better than expected starts, they kind of just brush by the Flyers. I know the regulation win thing hasn't been there. There's been a lot of shootouts and stuff, but maybe now that they just kind of did that to the champs, everyone will notice. And listen, you got to be in it to be considered for awards. And like we just said, they're in it. All right, next one here. Thank you, Timbo. $10. That's huge. Appreciate it. From DA Flyers man. Vladar is better than Wolf. Sorry, Calgary.
He certainly has been this year.
A rough start.
Yeah, he has been this year. They're still throwing Wolf out there. He's getting a ton of starts. But yeah, Vladar has been better this year. We'll see if that holds.
Yeah. All right. Next one is at Ace of Ben's, Dan Vladar. That's what I like to see, Ben. Love it. Absolutely. That's my favorite one so far. People joining the bandwagon, Dan Vladar. All right, next one up is Timbo again. Brenna appreciation tax, and of course, everyone has to pay. It's like the cheese tax. Basically, that's anytime Brenna produces a show, we have to appreciate Brenna. All right, next one up is Obi-Wan, and it is Brenna appreciation tax times 2. So we get a couple of the Brenna appreciation taxes. I like that people just pay for this. It's very funny to me and very much appreciated. People, the higher ups, like that we bring in the super chat money.
They do.
All right. Next one is John Paul's art. I don't know what that says.
Oh, it's a reference to the philosopher. Anyway, continue.
Philosophy. Love Cates, but how do we get him to put experience points into face-off ability? It is that one thing, and that's when we talk about Zegras at center, it's like, well, it's that. He can't win a face-off, so therefore, and it's like, I don't know, their career numbers are exactly the same. It's the other stuff, too. But it would be nice to, like, win a face-off. Any of the centers. Just so, like, maybe Coots doesn't have to be on the power play or something, you know? Just a thought. But, yeah, if he could win some face-offs, that would make him, like, an even more indispensable part of this team.
It's true. Yeah. And trust me, I've had conversation with him. He's working on it.
He's working on it.
It's coming hard for him, but one thing you say about Noah Cates, he's going to put the time in. Now, whether he can become a good face-off guy in time, I guess we'll see. But he's trying.
All right, next one here is it's from JH. I mustache Charlie a query. Waxed handlebar when?
We shall see.
We'll see. Well, probably never. All right, next one is from Purple Crayon. What's up, Perp? Says Bobrovsky with a cool 765 tonight. That guy will never win a cup. It is funny to see, like, the Flyers, I know they don't score a ton, but considering they never get any shots, like, their shooting percentage has to be pretty good. I haven't looked it up, but it's got to be decent because, like, they score more than never, and they never get 30 shots a game. So it's something maybe we talk about next show.
And Tocchet's teams have historically had pretty good shooting percentages. Now, sometimes they go above and beyond where it's like, okay, that's way inflated. But historically, they do finish decently well, probably in part because of the system. Also, whenever I see Bobrovsky struggling, all I can think of is that Ilya Brizgalov's music I hear?
Got to replace him, apparently.
Apparently.
All right. Next one here is that it? Is it frozen? I don't know.
Unclear.
All right. There it is. Fuzzy Dunlop. I like that. Nipple Guy is the start of the championship DVD. What if this is the rallying cry? What if this is the thing? What if this is how we get going here?
Good.
It's Nipple Guy in the House of the Champions, showing them what's up, and it takes us, it takes us all the way to like hockey in June, which is all right. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I am a fervent believer in the fact that if you want to be a good team, you got to have goofiness around you. You have to. The goofiness is a necessary part of being good. Tonight, we got a little goofiness.
100%. You always need a little whimsy.
Exactly. You need the whimsy.
It's a long season. All right.
You can't be angry all the time. Right? Please.
Yeah, whatever. From Unholy Gaming, Vladdy Daddy and Cousin Email come in clutch. Yeah, those two, that's Tyson Foerster, sure. Matvei Michkov, sure. But it's those two that really got them into this game tonight after they got crushed in the first period. It's over. It's 3-0 in the first if it's not for Dan Vladar. And we didn't even have to go to overtime in the game. But tonight's show, it's going to overtime. Go to allphly.com to finish up watching tonight's program. All right, as we wrap up Super Chats, this is from JH again. Well, duh, Charlie, they're not going to trade Michkov. He's just going to walk at the end of his contract. Hashtag, is that checkmate atheists? Is that what it says?
Sure.
Yeah, he's just going to walk as a restricted free agent. He's going to walk
He's
back
just
going to
go back to Russia. I don't think that is likely.
It would be surprising.
Given the fact that I believe his father said that like it was his dream to see Matvei Michkov be a great NHL player, I do not think he's going to pass up that opportunity.
I just can't wait for this conversation to be over. Like, I'm
looking forward to it.
Just him be good, everyone happy, the end. All right, I think we have a few more here. Timbo again. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the chat on PHLY. And Brenna, love if Vladar makes the All-Star team. Do we call it the All-Vlastar game?
Isn't there no All-Star game this year? I was going to say, I didn't think there was an All-Star game.
He's got a 2-year contract.
Hey, he could make the end of season All-Star team, but
there you go.
It wouldn't be the All-Star game. It would just be the All-Star team that gets you bonuses.
The actual All-Star team, which is the one that makes the most sense. Like at the halfway point, it's just like, well, who's historically good and who's having a weird start to the year. The end of the year, it's like, who is actually the star? So maybe he'll get in. Maybe he'll get in there. Thank you, Timbo, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. And that's it. Wow, Hey-o. We cruised through those. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on YouTube and hit the like button. Check out that Black Friday sale as well, going right now for our Die Hard. Starts Friday for everyone else. Early access going on right now. You can save up to 90%. All of our items on sale, some steeply discounted. So check it out. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. That is Charlie O'Connor. Thank you very much to Brenna. And from all of us, happy Thanksgiving.
We all silly like the mayor.